Hey Larry, thanks for joining us here today, man. That's cool that you could stop in.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me here. I'm pretty excited to be here, honestly.
That's sweet.
Hey, is my truck all right parked on this street there?
Oh yeah, that'll be fine. For the entire time you're here, it'll be fine out on the road.
Alright, I'm kind of taking up a lot of space there. Hope your neighbors don't mind.
Oh no, it's good. Thanks for asking though.
Yeah, well, I don't know what you know about me, but I can tell you I'm a real gentleman, so I like to be pretty gentlemanly, you know what I mean?
Definitely appreciate it. Like
I sure appreciate you letting me into DC's liquor cabinet. That's awful nice of you there, Mars.
Yeah, man. That's what we're here for. We're here to be as hospitable as possible, and just super happy you could finally join us in the show. We've always appreciated your not writing in, but calling in. I still don't know how you got our number, but I won't.
Well, I got some connections.
That's what it seems
I ain't gonna give up my sources,
All right, that's all good.
Yep, just keep that one a secret there.
Cool. So how was your drive up here?
It was alright. I was coming up from down south. I was surprised y'all got snow up here.
Mm-hmm.
I was coming in I-35 and it was snowing like a sumbitch.
Yep.
I'm like, what the hell? It's April. What's going on here? But it was just fine. I lived around these parts here quite a while, so I know how the weather is.
Sure.
Yep.
That's cool. So you made it here safely?
Yep, I dropped off a load in St. Paul and headed on up here, and I got just enough time left on my e-log. I gotta rest for, I gotta take 30 hours off, and then I can start driving again after that.
Cool.
So, yep, gonna live it up a little bit, have some drink here. And,
yeah, definitely, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so if you're cool with it, we're gonna kind of start the podcast right away. I'll keep the chit chat to a minimum, and
all right,
we'll get the show started.
Can I do the intro?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, for real? All right. Yeah, well, I've been practicing in my truck for the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
On this here intro, boy.
This is From DC to Mars, the podcast.
Hey there, folks. This here's Larry. Welcome to From Larry the Trucker to Mars. I'm your host, Trucker Larry. And this here's Mars.
Yep. Thanks for that, Larry.
Did I do all right? You said that dog gonna bite me?
No, dogs are very friendly.
I think that dog has a gun.
No. That dog.
Is this DC's prison dog?
Yep.
Oh, damn.
Yep. The dog's completely friendly. Looks mean, but
She's a little shifty-eyed, I tell you.
Yeah.
I seen folks like that. I ain't trust them.
Yeah. Yep. She's cool. So.
All right. No, you say so.
All right. So the first thing I want to get into as far as the podcast goes here is we had some listener questions sent in, and I really wanted to get into those to start out.
Hey, there's some good whiskey here.
Yeah.
Is here 1792 Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey? DC's got some good taste, I tell you what.
Yeah, is that what you normally drink?
No, well, I'll be honest, I ain't really drink much on account of having to drive all the time.
I suppose.
But, yeah, I like a good bourbon whiskey myself, and this here one I ain't never had, but it sure is good.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks delicious. Drink up there, Larry.
Hey, you don't mind if I chew some Copenhagen, do you?
Oh, no, that's cool. We got a bucket.
I just spit on the floor then, or?
Right in the bucket over there.
All right, I'll spit in that there bucket. I wasn't sure what that was all about, but...
Oh, yeah. All right, so a couple questions here for you, Larry.
All right, go ahead.
This first one is from a gentleman named Ted. He says, "Hi, guys. Hope you can get my question to Larry. Hey, Larry, what's the most common roadkill you see while out trucking across America? As a follow-up, do you have any interesting places that you love to visit on the road?"
Well, as far as most common roadkill, I'd say that's kind of depends on where he's at.
Sure.
Most places, in the U.S. you see deer. That's got to be the most common. But when you get down south, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, you start seeing a lot more armadillos.
Sure.
And them things, yeah, they just go right across the road. They don't give a shit. You just run them right over, man. You ain't even got time to stop or nothing. You just see them all over the place down there.
I believe it. So for the follow-up question, do you have any interesting places that you love to visit while you're out on the road?
Well, that's kind of a tough one because I kind of like all kinds of places. The part about being a trucker I like is being able to go all over this whole country and seeing all kinds of places, but I sure do like getting up to Alaska. Don't do many runs up there in the winter because it's pretty secluded. Canada's okay sometimes, depending on which part you're in. Most of like desert areas, they're pretty boring and just flat, not a whole lot going on, but it's real nice when you get into the mountains, either the Appalachian Mountains or into the Rocky Mountains. That's pretty nice, good scenery and all that stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't really have a favorite, but...
That's cool. All right, well, thanks for that question, Ted.
Yeah, thanks, Ted.
All right, this next one's from Paul. Hey, Larry, love your ad reads. Road wipes.
Yeah, them was fun to do. I like doing that.
Road wipes is super funny.
Hey, road wipes has saved my life.
I bet. Paul wants to know, what do you listen to while driving? Country music, podcasts, anything else?
Well, how dare you assume that a gentleman such as myself would listen to country music like some sort of a hillbilly. But yes, I do listen to country music. I like the old stuff. I like Jerry Lee Lewis, Kenny Rogers, Kenny Loggins. I like Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson. He's one of my favorites. And
oh, yeah.
I like all them older folks. I ain't really into this hippity-hop country stuff that they's got going on now.
I believe it.
Like that Yellow Wolf son bitch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I hate that
Yeah,
stuff.
I ain't really into that kind of music. All due respect, sir, Mr. Yellow Wolf. But, yeah, I like them classic country things. Like
Oh, yeah.
Jerry Reed. That's another good one. You
Yep.
probably don't know half these folks.
I don't know Jerry, to be honest.
Jerry Reed, he was a good one. He tells these like stories when he sings. Like, he's got this one song where he's like playing a dice game in an alley and he was on fire. He was hot. He said, when you're hot, you're hot. And then a police officer came up and arrested him, and then he done get thrown in jail. But yeah, this is pretty good old country music. I ain't really into that new stuff.
Yeah, I hear you. But a lot of that older country, the classic country, it always told really good stories like that.
Yeah, I like music that tells a story.
And a lot of those guys were really crazy, too. Like, looking back on some of their lives, they were, like, pretty wild individuals.
Yeah.
All right, so next question. This is from Leonard. Hey, Larry, this is Leonard. I've been a trucker now for 3 years and really enjoy hearing from other truckers with big loads. My biggest load went across 3 different territories. What's the biggest load you've ever carried, Larry?
Oh, you must be up in Canada then.
Yeah.
Well, I bet, what the hell is going on in there? You got some animals that's fighting or something. Or humping. I ain't know which one it is, but there's some commotion. Had me startled.
Yeah, don't worry about them.
Well, say back in the early 90s, I actually bought myself a lowboy trailer, and I was doing a lot of heavy hauling for the mining company.
Yep.
So I was hauling some pretty big stuff, big old excavators, and some. You ain't gonna get one of them. What the hell do they call them? They call them production trucks, and big huge dump trucks they use in them open pit mines.
Yep.
Well, you ain't gonna get a whole one of them on any single truckload, but I'll haul parts for them that's pretty big loads, and I've hauled a few houses over the years.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't really get into that stuff so much anymore because I'm getting a bit older and I don't like messing with all that stuff.
For sure.
When you're a trucker, you're responsible for loading the trailer and unloading it too, and it's just a lot easier for me to hop into a forklift and just move some pallets around,
Definitely. So, I have a question for you separate. regarding trucking and the trucking industry today versus what it was maybe 20 or 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I talked to this guy that did a lot of trucking. He said there was always ways to kind of like not cook your books specifically, but maybe kind of fudge the numbers and make a little more money. Is that a lot more difficult nowadays than it was 30, 40 years ago?
Well, in a way it is, but see, they have a thing called e-log on a truck now, and it's built into the truck. It's a computer.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to carry loads and not be part of e-log, you got to get an older truck, which, certain truckers that I know have done. They buy like an older cab over or something like that. It's a pre-e-log, and then they ain't got to worry about logging their time. And you can always lie in a book.
Yep.
That e-log, it keeps track of everything. How much time you're sitting idle, how much time you're driving.
Okay.
But honestly, you can still make good time and work a lot and get a lot of miles in, even with the e-log, because you can work up to 14 hours in a day.
Oh, wow.
And 11 hours of that can be driving. So you got 3 hours for loading and unloading and, gassing up and all that other stuff that you're doing, paperwork and stuff. There's a lot more to trucking than just driving,
Yep.
But you can do that for 5 days in a row. So that's 70 hours, and then that 70-hour mark, then you got to take a 30-hour break, and you can start right back up again.
Wow.
So you can still work a lot. I mean, you can work, if you time it out right, you can work 80 hours in a week almost.
Super informative.
Yeah, you can put a lot of miles on, even with the e-log, and a lot of people that maybe don't know what they're talking about kind of might say it's a bad system or whatever. And,
Sure.
It's fine for me. And I mean, shoot, I'll be honest, back in the 80s, I used to do a bunch of speed and I'd just drive for like 3 days straight. I get across the country without sleeping and get unloaded and head on back the next day.
Right on. So that kind of goes into this next question from Wendell here. It's kind of a follow-up to what I already asked, but Wendell says, "Hey boys, love the show. Just wanted to ask Larry if he thinks things are better or worse today than 20 years ago on the freeways in North America."
Well, it's kind of an interesting question. I'd say the roads are safer than they used to be.
Sure.
You got newer vehicles and better vehicles, so cars are safer now. The problem is I think people don't pay as much attention though. So you see a lot more accidents because people is just being dumb.
Yep.
Someone be on their phone and run off the road or hit somebody and all that stuff, and that ain't never good. And on top of that, you get the same old problems that you always have with like road rage and
Sure.
Wackos and drunks and all that kind of stuff. I got hit by a drunk driver once I think it was about 2003. I was working for a company not too far from here. Actually, I was hauling gasoline.
Yeah.
And just emptied my trailer. Last load of the day, emptied it out, had a completely empty trailer, pulled out onto the road, and hadn't even gone a mile, and someone just come up behind me. And I was sitting at a red light, someone come up behind me and just smashed right in the back of my truck.
Jeez.
I didn't even know what was going on. I didn't even feel him hit me, but I heard a horn going off, and I looked at my mirrors and seen a cloud of steam. So I get out and I look, and this truck, it was like a little car, was just folded up underneath there's a collision bar on the back of a trailer.
Yep.
And he basically dove under that collision bar, and yeah, it was pretty scary. I got the hell up out of there because I didn't know the car catches fire, and then I got an empty trailer that had gas in it, so it's super dangerous to that part. It can definitely explode or ignite more easily than a trailer that's full of gasoline. So I got the hell up out of there. I called the police, paramedics, all that, and yeah, that boy, he's pretty fucked up, but. Luckily ain't nothing get caught on fire because that would have really leveled some shit.
I bet. So, Wendell has a couple other questions here in his question. He says, "What's your favorite town to visit for truck stops? Do you have one? A certain area, maybe?"
Well, no, not really. Any place that's got a good truck stop. Truck stops is important to me because I'm an owner-operator. So I don't have a company that I work for. One of the nice things about working for companies, they usually got a terminal. And a
Okay.
terminal is like a truck stop for the truckers. You can go. A lot of times they got fuel there. If they don't got fuel, a lot of times they'll have showers and bathrooms, and most of them got like places you can do some laundry, and some of them even got gyms and stuff in them, and lounges you can hang out in and relax a little bit. Maybe a kitchen or something like that. So having a terminal working for a company is pretty nice, and I ain't got that. So, I like a lot of Flying J's. That's my favorite truck stop.
Okay.
Sometimes they can be kind of nasty. Depends on how well management's taking care of it. But, it all just depends. You got these quick trips around here.
Yep.
They're all right, but, not all of them got showers. You got to do a little research and know where you're going, because I don't rent hotels. I got a big old sleeper cab in that thing, 120-inch sleeper cab on my Kenworth there, and I got everything I need except a toilet and a shower. I got a toilet really, but I don't really like using it too much.
Sure. All right. Well, that's it for listener questions. Thanks for going through those with us, or with me.
Yeah,
And
no problem.
that's really cool. So I kind of want to transition out of those, and I was thinking of something recently, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on this.
All right.
Recently, I've been seeing a lot of advertisements, and for some reason, certain companies are now using handicapped children in their advertisements.
Oh,
And
like they got amputees and stuff, or you talking about retards?
I'm talking about straight up retards, like
Okay.
kids with Down syndrome and things like that. I've seen that in them being used as models in like clothing ads.
Yeah, Victoria's Secret's got one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, she's all right looking. I'd definitely bang uglier women than that, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd probably take a run at her.
Right on. So I was kind of thinking about that when I saw that recently. I was like, well, what's like? Obviously, I've seen they had that TV show where they had a kid with Down syndrome and he was an actor, and I don't feel like these people are being used, but I also wonder, like, at what point can you draw the line, like, or are these advertising companies taking advantage of these individuals because of their disabilities and just trying to use them as like this woke, like messaging thing, or do you think it's more just like, oh, it's just coincidence that you're seeing like 3, 4, 5 of these out at one time?
Well, I mean, look, I don't watch television too much. I got a TV in my rig back there, and
Yeah.
I ain't got an antenna or nothing, so pretty much anything I watch is either a DVD or, I got one of them things where I hook up the internet from my phone
Okay.
onto the thing, and then I get internet on my deal, and I can watch like Netflix and things like that.
Sure.
So I don't really see a lot of commercials, but I can tell you that from what I've seen, they all seem to have like a kind of like a theme to them. Like, you ain't seeing any straight couples in commercials anymore, and if
No.
you do, they're definitely interracial. And,
Yep.
I think that it's pretty obvious that they're probably just trying to pander to certain groups and whatever.
Yeah.
I don't really care. I mean, it don't bother me none. But yeah, as far as taking advantage of them tards and everything, yeah, it's probably not the classiest thing they could do. But yeah, if they're making money, and if them tards is making some money, then that's fine. I don't know, maybe their handler or their parents or whoever's in charge of their bank accounts is just cashing in on them. I think they's the one that's taking advantage.
Sure.
They ain't gonna make no money. What are they gonna do? They could be a greeter at Walmart, $11 an hour, or they could go do this commercial for $6,000. It's pretty easy math to me.
Sure. So, follow up with that. You said you don't really watch too much TV, and we were kind of talking about retards in general, but
I don't think we're supposed to be saying that word. To be
Well,
honest with you, Mars.
I don't know. I think
I think you're supposed to say differently able.
okay, maybe. Kind of in the same line. Recently, Gilbert Gottfried passed away.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
He's a funny son bitch, let me tell you.
That's what I thought too. And he got in some hot water. He lost his, I think he lost some of his advertising contracts with, I don't know if it was Aflac or somebody else.
Oh, yeah, he did them Aflac things, didn't he?
Yep, he did.
Man, goofy son bitch.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. He's never really been in a memorable movie. Like, he's never had like in any movie or TV show, he never had like a big hit as far as that goes. But,
Well, he was in them Problem Child movies.
Oh, was
I remember him in them, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I think he was a voice in the Disney Aladdin movie.
Yeah, he played a bird. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that. One of my kids loved that movie.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of kids, too. Didn't tell you that.
Yeah, how many kids you got?
I think I got 16
Oh,
kids.
my God.
Well, they ain't all with the same woman.
Oh, sure.
Well, I'm driving around a lot, and, I lay a lot of pipe, and, end up with a bunch of kids, and that's basically why I go to work so much. I got a lot of child support, buddy.
Oh, dang. That's insane. How many of them were lot lizards?
More than 4.
Okay. Right on.
One of them, actually, here, it's a funny story here. One of them, so, see, I paid this nice lady some money, and she was supposed to meet me around the block.
Yeah.
I paid her, and she came up into my truck. It wasn't the same woman. So it turned out it was a woman's daughter I gave the money to.
Oh.
And she was a nice and attractive young lady. And,
Yeah.
well, this lady that climbed up in my truck, I was like, who's you? She's like, I just paid some money. I'm going to suck your dick. And I'm like, well, are you sure? I mean, all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, one thing led to another, and, she turned out getting pregnant, and pretty sure it was my kid, because it looked just like me. But,
That's a bait and switch of
you gotta watch out for that, man. Getting them lot lizards, it's a risky move. Let me tell you what, but it gets lonely out there on that road. So, you gotta take a risk if you want to have a reward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. So, have you ever seen the TV show Married with Children? You ever catch that out on the road or on one of your breaks or anything like that?
Yeah, I think I remembered that one.
That was the one with it was like Peg and Al.
Yeah, that's right, Al Bundy.
Yeah. I recently watched that show and I was very surprised. Speaking of like political correctness and whatnot, that show's not that old, but I was very surprised to see like what kind of stuff they got away with back then.
Oh yeah.
And I was just kind of curious, like, do you think I know you've made some comments in some of your call-ins in the past about certain issues or topics, kind of hinted towards things, but I was just wondering what your whole take is on how politically correct we've gotten, how far away we've gotten from just being able to make jokes.
Well, the 90s was a wild time. Mm-hmm. You could get away with a lot of stuff, and see, people don't really realize, but back in the 70s, things was a lot more, I say, kind of tempered down a little bit.
Sure.
But, you had some certain things back then, even in the 70s, it was pretty politically incorrect, but
Yep.
the 90s was the heyday for basically politically incorrect humor. You had,
Yeah.
what was it? That Bill Maher guy had a show called Politically Incorrect.
Yep.
And there was a big pushback against people with political correctness or whatever, and there was a big pushback against that, just like there is now. Mm-hmm. It seems like right now the political correctness is kind of taking up a lot more of the space, but
Yeah.
there's plenty of like comedians and stuff out there that's still pushing the boundaries, and they saying all kinds of wild shit, but the place where it gets affected is in TV shows and movies and stuff that, they ain't doing them same kind of jokes anymore, because I think none of the producers or executives that's making the movies and stuff want to take a risk of getting shunned in
Yeah.
Hollywood. So,
Yep.
you know, you end up with this stuff that's kind of watered down and ain't really that funny anymore.
Yeah, and you notice, and I know you said you don't really watch too much TV, or you probably don't watch too many movies outside of the DVDs you have in your truck, but...
No, I do like movies. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like movies a lot.
Yeah, and then I'm sure you've noticed, like, there's, like, a huge void as far as, like, comedy movies.
Oh, yeah,
nowadays.
there ain't no funny movies coming out
No.
lately. I can't think of the last funny movie that's come out in the last 10 years even.
And it's because, and, you know, looking... From what you've said now, I bet that's, like, a direct correlation from how politically correct everybody has to be. Nobody can offend anybody, and I was just thinking about that too. It's just like we used to have like really funny TV shows, like even there was a couple like sketch comedy shows that kind of pushed the envelope.
Oh yeah, like In Living Color. That was a good one.
That's the one I was thinking of in
Yeah.
Mad TV to a certain degree. SNL did it a little bit, but they're kind of watered down and not as risky as.
Yeah, this show ain't been funny in quite a few years.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, comedy movies themselves have been really, really lacking. I think it's because everybody's scared to say anything. They don't want to offend anyone, and
Yep, I agree. I think that this actually a lot of people talk about supply chain shortages and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, the one ain't no one talking about is the huge lack of tampons in this country, and it's a direct correlation to the amount of pussies we got in this country now.
right on.
Hey, real quick, what do you think about Will Smith slapping the shit out
I
of
was
Chris
just thinking.
Rock?
I was just thinking about that. I'm glad you brought that up. There's not much I can really say about it. I think I understand why he did it, but I also think he shouldn't have done it. You can say what you want about him standing up for his woman, but I think Will Smith is kind of a victim in the whole situation, and I think most people don't really realize that.
Well, he was laughing at that whole thing.
Correct.
And then his wife gave him the stink eye, and then all of a sudden he had to put on his britches and act
Yeah.
like a big man and everything. And now the basic thing is he should have told that woman to shut the hell up. It was just a joke.
Yep.
It wasn't even a real offensive joke.
Yep.
It was kind of flattering in a way. And yeah, I think that he acted like a little bitch.
Me too. But I also think like I said, I think he's a victim because I think she has something over him. And I think it's really sad to see a man like Will Smith succumb to the stank eye of somebody like her.
Well, there was that whole thing where she was having an affair. And they was talking about it on their podcast.
Yep.
Whatever, the Red Table or whatever it is there. And they basically talking about how she's been fucking the pool boy or whatever. And he was sitting there crying like he obviously wasn't all right with it. But he was, under some sort of a pressure from her to sit there and act like he was okay with it.
Yeah.
Well, he ain't okay with it. Anyone could see that he don't like the fact that his wife's getting plowed by the help. So, I feel bad for him. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he's like one of them celebrity suicides in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I'll get to that in a little bit. But first, I kind of want to comment on what you said there and say that I was on some social media platform recently, and I saw a video of the wife took a video of Will Smith, and she's just recording him, and he's like, "What are you recording me for? I don't want to be recorded." And she's like, "This is for social media, blah, 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 blah." And he's like, "Okay." And you could tell...
Oh, damn.
Settle down,
That
dog.
dog just pulled a knife.
It's okay.
I seen her do it with my own eyes, people. This here dog, prison dog, just pulled out a goddamn knife and tried to kill that cat.
She's got a license for it. It's
Holy
okay.
shit.
But yeah. So Will Smith, you can tell she's got something over him, and I think she's using that to her advantage. And Will Smith's in a bad spot. I know he didn't want to slap Chris Rock. Like you said, he did laugh at the joke. He's made jokes about similar things in the past, and been cool with it, but you know, women get a hold of certain men, and they kind of can really twist and turn and control their behaviors.
Well, just look what Courtney Love did to that fella from Nirvana.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Yep, women's a bunch of trouble. That's why I just pay for them and get on my way.
Yeah.
I ain't never been married. I ain't never gonna get married. So all you ladies out there, I know y'all got a bunch of ladies in Germany that listen to this here program. I'd like to say to you, 9. You ain't gonna tie this trucker down, so don't even try.
Right on. But I do want to get back to something you mentioned just a bit ago with the celebrity death thing. So I was going to ask DC about this, but since you're here today, maybe you'd like, do you like to bet, Larry?
No, I ain't really much of a betting man.
Okay. How about a $10 wager?
$10?
Yep. Something simple.
All right. I'll bet you $10. What's the bet?
Okay, so my bet is, obviously Gilbert Gottfried just died, and you mentioned the Will Smith suicide possibility, which I think is completely possible, but I was wondering if you'd want to do a friendly wager where each of us picks a celebrity, and we'll give it to the end of the year, end of 2022 here, and I'm sure you'll be back. I'm hoping you'll be back after this.
Yeah, I swing through here every couple months or so.
So, yeah, hopefully you can be back on the show. And if you want to do 10, that's fine. If you want to do 50, that's cool too. But we'll each pick a celebrity. If one of them dies before the end of 2022...
And we get to pick which one?
Yeah, you get to pick any celebrity.
Clint Eastwood.
Okay.
That man is 150 years old.
That's a good strategy. I like your strategy.
I'm going with Clint Eastwood. Now I love Clint Eastwood. Love all his old Western movies. Love them Dirty Harry movies.
Yeah.
I really like that El Dorado or El Camino or what the hell was that one he had where he was pretty racist in that one actually.
Yeah. He was.
That guy, he was a bit of a racist here. I'm going to be honest with you folks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say, what the hell is that? What was the name of that movie?
I can't think of it either.
Ranchero? It's something about a car.
Yeah. Is it El Dorado?
Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I'm betting on Clint Eastwood. Okay, that's my bet. $10.
Okay. And I might have to think here for a second, but I kind of want to pick a musician because those seem to be dropping like flies lately. But a better bet might be a comedian because those have been even more frequent. And I don't know any like...
Oh yeah, Norm Macdonald died.
Yeah, Norm and Bob and now Gilbert. So, man. Okay, I'm going to... This is a complete wild card, but I'm going to say Marilyn Manson. He's not that old, and I'm just picking a random name. So
that the one with the titties?
Technically, kinda, yeah.
Okay.
That's also the one that people rumored he removed his lower ribs so he could perform autofellatio on himself. But
what the hell's that?
that's where a man sucks his own, you know what.
Sucks his own dick?
Yeah.
What the hell? He's got money. Why would he have to do that? He just paid someone to do that for him. Yeah, he ain't poor.
Yeah, that was an old rumor before internet rumors were even a thing.
Well, I'll be damned.
Yeah, so we're gonna take a quick break here.
Them cats is humping.
Yeah.
What the hell?
That's kind of why I want to take a break here. Break up the crack.
I think that's a good note to go out on. The cats is humping. We're going to commercial. We'll be right back, folks.
Life is all about sharing moments. But what if you weren't around? You're here to share these moments today. But life happens in a heartbeat, and there may come a time when you won't be. That's where life insurance comes in, giving you peace of mind, knowing your love will always be there for your family, even if something happens to you. Insure your love today so your family never misses a moment tomorrow. Learn more at lifehappens.org.
All right, and we're back from commercial here. Larry.
Yes, sir.
Normally, one thing that DC and I do pretty much every episode, and I'm sure you're aware of this, is we kind of go over a bitches be crazy story.
Oh, yeah, I love these.
I had one here fired up. This is from Cleveland, not Florida, but some woman flipped out recently.
All right.
And this was at a Hibachi Japanese steakhouse just on April 11th, so real recently. She refused to pay for her meal after finding hair in her food. So they tried to rectify the situation by remaking her meal, but she refused, and an argument ensued. So the police officers were called, and the woman just went off, and they ended up kicking her out of there because she just like had a huge bitch fit, and she's now not allowed to go back to this eating establishment anymore.
Yeah, she had to go get diarrhea somewhere else.
I guess eating hibachi steakhouse.
Now, is that the one where he's doing all them fancy tricks with the spatulas and knives and stuff and flinging things up in the air?
I think so.
Doing all that fancy stuff?
I think so. Yeah, this lady went so crazy that she was told that she had to leave, and if she ever returned, she would be charged with trespassing. So there's not a lot of details in this one, but I can only imagine that she started throwing shit and whatnot, because that's usually how these bitches be crazy stories go. And it's always on an airplane, or it's always
Or at a restaurant.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess women get hangry and they get some chemical imbalance, and it's just so surprising every time that it's a female that ends up going crazy at a restaurant.
Right. Well, I ain't a big fan of getting hair in my mouth neither. Just why I ain't never eaten pussy in my life. And on top of that, it's always with some nasty hoes anyway. You don't eat hooker pussy, let me tell you.
No.
So I ain't ever had too many problems with getting hair in my mouth, but I can tell you that finding some hair in your food is pretty damn upsetting.
Yeah, it's nasty if it's in your food. If you ever get hair in your mouth from anything, that's like one of those horrible feelings where it's just like complete and utter discomfort. Yeah, it's gross.
Shave your pussies, ladies.
Yeah, shave them or wax them or whatever you gotta do. Oh, did you hear the story about Cam Newton?
Now, who's that?
Okay, so he's a National Football League player.
Okay.
I don't think he's currently on a team. He played for the Carolina Panthers.
All right.
He was really good for a couple years. I think he won a Super Bowl, and he always did like the Superman thing whenever he like got a touchdown. But
that sounds super original to me.
Yeah, he's very very original. But he was on a podcast recently, and I'd imagine you're a pretty traditional kind of old school values type of person from what I know of you.
In some ways, sure.
So maybe you'll relate to this. He got a lot of backlash for some of the comments he made on this podcast, but I kind of want to go over some of his quotes. Cam Newton on this podcast, and I don't have the name of it here in front of me, but he said, "My parents have been together for 37 years now, and it's a beautiful thing. I grew up in a 3-parent household, my mom, my father, and my grandmother, and I knew what a woman was, not a bad bitch, a woman." And they go on to ask him, like, to explain, what do you mean by bad bitch? And he says, "A bad bitch is a person who is just, girl, I'm a bad bitch. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I look the part, but I don't act the part." And there's a lot of women who are bad bitches and say shit in a way not to degrade a woman, but just go off on the aesthetic of what they deem as a boss chick.
All right.
And to continue, he said, "Now, a woman for me is handling your own, but knowing how to cater to a man's need," right? And I think a lot of times when you get that aesthetic of, I'm a boss bitch, I'm a this, I'm a that, And he said, no, baby, you can't cook. You don't know when to be quiet. You don't know how to allow a man to lead. So that's kind of what got him not in trouble. Like, nobody's trying to, like, tell Cam that he needs to go to jail. But he got some backlash on social media. And I'm wondering what your take is on his comments. I know that's kind of an old school thinking, but what do you think of that?
Well, he's really right in a lot of ways. Women nowadays, generally speaking, they don't cook, they don't clean, you know, and seems like a lot of women nowadays want to be the boss of the relationship, and I ain't saying that the man needs to be the boss neither. I think that it should be some sort of an equal footing.
Sure.
But it seems like they ain't trying to get an equal footing. They trying to be the man in the relationship, as a man was considered back in the 50s, where you come home and you expect to have a drink already made for you, dinner on the table, kids is quiet, you want to sit down and put your feet up and watch the ball game or read the newspaper without interruption or whatnot. And I think that a lot of women have kind of stepped into that role that men was in back then. Well, it wasn't right for men to be in that position back then, and it ain't right for women to be in that position now. It should be more of an equal thing.
Sure.
So, yeah, I've noticed that a lot of these younger women ain't cooking, and they don't have any desire to learn how to cook or none of that kind of stuff. And most younger folks I know that's married and whatnot, seems like the man does most of the cooking and a lot of the cleaning and all that stuff. And that ain't necessarily a bad thing, but, you know, a woman should know how to take care of herself.
Yep.
And should know how to cook just the same way as a man should know how to cook.
Sure. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think he's right in a lot of ways on what he's saying, but he's wrong in a lot of ways in how he's trying to portray what he's trying to say. So,
well, I'm assuming that someone who's an NFL player ain't exactly eloquent with the way that they put their words together. Experienced podcasters such as yourself or me.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so that's it for the news stuff. Maybe we'll get into a couple other things here. Actually, we don't have much time left here, so I'm going to go into one more commercial break, and then
all right, let's do it.
We'll be right back.
Being a trucker, it's hard. You got long hours, bad food, and tight schedules to keep. Being on the road is a tough life. You gotta navigate through busy cities and lonely highways and bring your load to where it needs to be on time. Hell, sometimes you don't even know where your next bathroom break's gonna be. And showering is that's a challenge too. That's why I use road wipes. Road wipes is the first disposable cleaning product made just for truckers. If you're coming off a long haul and want to freshen up a bit for entertaining a prostitute in the cab of your truck at some truck stop, or if you want to clean up the mess you left all over your undercarriage, try road wipes. These patented quilted wipes soak up all kinds of liquids and leave you clean and feeling refreshed. You can get in all kinds of scents like Mountain Breeze, Alpine Rush, or my personal favorite, Tropic Thunder. They're all organic and BPA free, so you can be sure you ain't rubbing a bunch of chemicals all over your drive shaft. They work great for sweaty trucker butt too. Road wipes just make being a trucker a bit nicer. Trucker Larry uses road wipes, and you should too.
All right, when we are back on the From DC to Mars podcast.
Now that's from Trucker Larry to Mars.
Yeah, special guest Larry joining me here today as DC is
Yeah, where the hell is he
I don't
anyway?
know. He didn't even tell me. He just took off and
Just done went on vacation.
yeah,
huh?
he just ditched.
Didn't you go on a vacation here?
Yeah, I did.
Where'd you go?
I want to talk about that real quick. I went to Florida. I'm sure you've been there plenty of times.
Oh, that's a wild place, my friend.
Yeah. So I went to Daytona Beach for a week, and it was a lot of fun. There was a lot less spring breakers there than I expected, which was both a good and a bad thing. Obviously,
Right, yeah.
I didn't see as many young women in bikinis as I
That's
was
bullshit.
I was kind of hoping to
You
see.
should get your money back for that whole trip.
I should. I did walk the beach like up and down, kind of where some spring breakers were, but I guess a lot of the spring breakers nowadays they go to like this little group of islands that's just south of Daytona Beach now.
Oh, okay.
So my family and I went. We got to see dolphins and we looked for manatees. Didn't see them. Saw a bunch of cool birds. Went up and down the strip. Went out to eat a bunch of times. This is, and obviously I'm sure you're aware of this, but everyone in Daytona Beach drives so fast. It's insane.
Yeah, oh yeah.
There's not a lot of traffic. I mean, there's a good amount of traffic. It's not like New York or LA or something, but there's a decent amount of traffic. But if you come out from like a parking lot there's like this main strip that runs through Daytona Beach, and I don't know what the speed limit was there, but it's like 2 lanes of traffic on each side, and then there's a sidewalk that's like maybe 6 to 10 inches away from one of the driving lanes, and cars whip up and down that thing like it's a fucking Daytona racetrack. And that's kind of the conclusion I came to, is like there's so many people that probably live there that grew up with racing or something. I don't know what it is, but everybody drives fast down there.
Well, I think the answer to that query which you have proposed is that everyone is on cocaine in Florida.
Yeah,
Everyone's all gapped out on cocaine, and they just get in their 2006 Cadillac Eldorado, and they just fly on down the road high as balls. I've seen it a million times.
Yeah, and that was the other thing I noticed was all the cars there were super nice and new. Like I saw some pimped out cars. Everything was like 2015 and newer.
Yep. Well, around here, you got all that road salt and everything they put down in the winter, so everything's a rusty pile of shit after like 3 years.
That's true. And I didn't see any of that down there. It was all nice cars, nice bikes, nice, a lot of like scooters. And I saw some of those. Have you ever seen one of those one wheels? It's like a skateboard, but it's got one big wheel in the middle of it.
No, I ain't seen that, but I could tell you if I ever rode one, I'd break my ass.
I think if you ever saw one crossing the road, I think you'd be legally required to run that dumbass over because those things look stupid as fuck.
Well, I prefer about 17 more wheels on my vehicle, sir.
Yeah, speaking of that, what kind of big rig you driving nowadays?
Well, I've always driven Kenworths. Right now I got a 2019 Kenworth W900.
Wow.
It's a pretty neat truck. Kenworths is good trucks because they got a lot of power. Got a Paxar motor in there. It's a 550 horsepower.
Dang.
So, yeah, they make a lot of power. For what I'm doing, it's not really the best truck because I ain't get the best fuel economy. I got a manual transmission in it. Looking back on it for fuel reasons, I could have gotten automatic and saved probably about 2 miles to the gallon.
Yeah.
But I just prefer driving a stick shift like I always done, set in my ways. But the cool thing about these here Kenworths is you can really trick them out real cool. They got big old sleeper cabs and you can customize them a lot. And I just like the way they look. Got a big old like square hood on them and everything. Yeah. It's a nice looking truck, and yeah, they always done me right. I actually bought that one a couple months before COVID hit, and I was real lucky that I did because as soon as that happened, the prices on trucks just went up like crazy.
Oh, I bet.
So I paid about $195,000 for that rig there.
Dang.
And right now you could get that same exact rig, a 2022 model, and be about $280,000.
Dang.
So that's just the rig. That ain't even that trailer I got there, it's called a van trailer. And it's just like a regular trailer you haul goods and cargo in and whatnot. Them's about $60,000 right there.
Dang.
So yeah, there's a lot of money in equipment trucking, but it's kind of just one of those things. You can make a lot of money doing it, but
Yeah.
it's taken me a lot of years to get to the point where I can get a new truck every 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I wanted to get a new truck this year, but they're just too damn expensive.
Oh,
so
I
I'm
believe
gonna
it.
have to start, putting more money into my truck and keeping up on maintenance and stuff. Cause
Yeah.
I got damn near 1 million miles on it already.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, well, I mean, that ain't really much for a truck like that, honestly. But,
Yeah.
when you got to spend about $20,000 putting new tires on your vehicle, it adds up over time.
Mm-hmm. So how much longer you planning on trucking before you retire and hang it up?
I'll probably drive until I die, my friend.
Really?
Yeah, I ain't got a house or anything like that nowheres. I
Okay.
ain't got a permanent address. I got some land in a couple different states. Got some land in Tennessee and out in Wyoming. I got a cabin in Montana.
Okay.
I got some things like that, but I ain't got like a house or a home base anywhere.
Right on.
So, I probably just keep on trucking, man.
Just drive till your bones and muscles give out on you, huh?
Yeah, well, I got quite a few good years left in me. I don't know how old you think I am, but I'm only 52.
Okay.
Yeah, see, I know from my voice and maybe my appearances I seem a bit older, but
Yeah.
that's mostly because of many years of heavy smoking and drug abuse.
Sure. Well, I would have guessed you were in your late 50s, so I wasn't too far off, but
Yeah,
That
I'm
makes
getting
sense.
there. I'd say I got probably a good more 20 years left in me.
sure. That's
God
cool.
willing, of course.
And you've always driven Kenworths, or have you
Yep.
driven? Oh, have you?
Well, I think I had a Peterbilt at one point. It was kind of a piece of shit, but
Okay.
it was actually my first truck that I owned myself. It was what was it? It was like a 1978 Peterbilt. It was a cab over.
Old school one.
Yeah, it was a cab over. So what that is where you're actually sitting on top of the engine and the front of the truck is just flat.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, one of them. That's called a cab over.
Cool.
Had one of them, and I was hauling pulpwood for the paper mill around these parts. Actually, funny story about that.
Yeah.
That paper mill ain't too far from your house. I'm sure you've seen it a few times.
Uh-huh.
Where the trucks go up on that ramp, and then to unload the trailer, they actually secure the truck, and then they lift the truck up in
Oh,
the air,
yeah.
and everything falls out the back, right?
Yep.
Well, you ain't supposed to be in the truck when that happens.
Yeah.
Well, just so happens I left a nice rolled joint in there and thought, hey, I'd sneak in there and take a couple puffs on it before they dump my load. But they started dumping it while I was still in there.
Oh, no.
So I was actually in my truck, laying on the back window of it, waiting for them to finish unloading my truck. I was high as balls off some like fucking Colombian Bam Bam or some shit. I don't even know what it was. Some real good weed. And it was pretty trippy, man.
Yeah. That's wild, dude. It sounds like a heck of a time being high and all of a sudden being elevated.
Yeah, it was kind of scary, man. You look out the windshield, all you see is clouds and such rolling by.
Yeah, that'd be freaky.
Yeah, and you up there for a good 20 minutes or so. They gotta clean it all out while it's up like that.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty fun, I guess. Looking back, it was kind of stupid, like many things I've done in my life.
Right on. Wow, that's an awesome story, though.
Yeah, other than that, I think all I owned is Kenworths. Had a couple older ones, and probably about, I think it was about 2005. That's when I bought my first newer one.
Yep.
And then I think the last 3 trucks I've owned was all brand new. So
Oh, okay.
I try to
Awesome.
get a new truck every like 3 to 5 years at the most, and just sell them off. Yeah, they hold their value pretty good, so.
Yeah.
Them Kenworths, they make a lot of power, but they don't hold their value as good as like a Peterbilt or some of them other ones.
Yeah.
But, you can still get some pretty good money for them if you trade them in or sell them outright.
For sure. I suppose, especially now, like with the prices of everything being kind of high, but it doesn't really benefit you much when buying a new one is
Yeah,
super high as well.
When you can't find a new one or
Yeah.
can't find a better one than the one you're selling, you're best off just sticking in the rig you got, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I recently heard this story, and this isn't specific to like semi trucks, but I heard a story about a guy who was trying to just buy a new pickup truck, and he ordered it. It was like a new Chevy Silverado or something, and he was at the dealership, and they said, "Well, we're waiting on this chip for the automatic start, so it's going to be a couple more weeks or whatever. Might be another month or so." And he's like, "Well, can I just buy it without the automatic start?" And they looked into it, and they were able to sell him the truck without the automatic start. And they said when the chip comes in for that part of the vehicle, then they would install it later, and it wouldn't be a problem. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll just take the truck now without the automatic start, because with the chip shortage over in China and Taiwan and stuff, it's really difficult to buy anything new, especially regarding vehicles."
Yeah, and it's hard to get parts for them too. Anything, you know, I got a lot of electronic stuff on this rig, and
Yep.
I don't really care for it too much, but I didn't want to drive some old busted rig I had to be worrying about or putting money into all the time. But you can easily spend thousands of dollars on a computer problem or wiring problem on these here trucks. Or
Yeah.
it's like a sensor for one of the mission controls system goes out, and then, well, next thing you know, you got to spend $3,000 on a little sensor.
Sure. Speaking of computers, this is probably way off topic from anything you're familiar with, but
That's all right. I'll do my best.
so I just want to talk to you. Part of this topic might interest you quite a bit, and maybe this will be something you'll get into if and after you ever retire. But DC and I, we play computer games a lot.
Oh yeah, I hear y'all talking about them.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're not like super familiar with gaming or.
I know, yeah, I ain't never played any video game at all, actually.
Right on. But I think you'll appreciate this. Anyways, recently I came across this new computer game that I really got into, and kind of want to talk about it real quick here. It's called actually I won't even say the name of it, but basically it's a visual novel, and what that is it's a type of computer software where you have your mouse and your keyboard, and you have the screen, and basically,
Right.
and
I know what those things are.
yeah, what happens is you just go through and you play through a story, and it's kind of like an adventure. But in this specific game that I recently purchased, you play as a guy in college.
All right.
You
This is one of them sex games, Mars.
just wait, Larry.
Your wife know about this?
Just wait, Larry. You play as a guy in college. You get to name your character.
What'd you name your character?
Raya or something weird like that.
Yeah, that shit is weird.
You're living in a house with five females. Or no, four females.
Nice.
My apologies. And what happens is you start the game, and you soon realize you're like in this Groundhog Day. Have you ever seen that movie, Groundhog Day?
Oh yeah.
With Bill Murray?
Yep, that was a good movie.
So you're playing the game, you have your character, you're living with these women, and the coolest part of this game is you get to designate who these women are in your life for your character. So the first one, she looked like an older woman, so that was instantly my stepmom.
All right.
The second one was my ex-girlfriend. The third one...
Hang on, I need to get some more whiskey for this shit.
That's cool. The third one was my best friend. And then the fourth one was I made it the character's sister. So
Alright.
I got them all named, and I got all their designations. They're all like related to me or friends or whatever they are. Then you go through and you start realizing, okay, the first thing that happens is you're at school and you're in the swimming pool, and this girl comes out and she wants to swim, and you're following her, and it's exactly what you predicted. It's a sex game, but it's got full nudity.
You can't hide shit from Larry. I've been around. I can tell what's coming before it even gets there.
It's got full nudity, upstairs and down, and it's 3D modeled, but it's not a 3D game. And basically what that means is, like, some games, like if you watch a movie, like a Pixar movie, that's like 3D rendered graphics. But then there's like certain video games, and if you play them, your computer's like rendering them, like creating the visuals in real time so you can move around in a 3D space. So that's like kind of the difference. But yeah, this game's 3D rendered, and you basically get to go to town with all these girls.
Jesus Christ.
But
God damn, Mars. You just get a hooker.
you
I
could.
don't know how much you spending on these video games, but a hooker's only about $35 for a blowjob, about $45 if you want to have sex with them, extra $10 if you want to take the condom off. That's a good deal.
But there's risks in that, Larry. But
Like I said earlier, no risk, no reward, my friend.
Okay. So I think if you saw this game, you would appreciate it. But I had a heck of a time with this game. This was cool because of the groundhog situation in this game, you basically got to relive the same day over and over. And if you screwed up something, you could just go to bed. You wake up in the morning, and then you try again to sleep with your stepmom the next day, and you try different tactics or whatever. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I highly recommend it to anybody out there that's into this type of entertainment, because it was cheap and it was rewarding, and it was pretty entertaining overall. So
Well, I'll tell you one thing about this. I don't understand what all this, like, stepsister and stepmom and stepdad and
yeah,
all these, like, weird, like, it's like, I don't understand why that's so prevalent on all these pornographic sites, which I sometimes frequent.
yeah.
And I don't understand where that's coming from.
I don't either. And I
They got good camera angles and good production value, so I watch them. But it's not like I'm into the fact that, oh, this is my stepbrother. Oh, stepbrother. Oh, it feels so good coming my pussy, stepbrother.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a little exciting for me, I suppose, but maybe I'd like it more if I growed up with some sisters around the house that I wanted to fuck, but I was an only child, so.
So I think what the conclusion I've come to is, like, the men and or women that find that type of stuff entertaining, or they get off on that, it's the whole, like, taboo situation. It's like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, or this is more exciting. And it's the same thing with, like, BDSM, you know, like the torture porn.
Oh, yeah, I know all about that shit.
Yeah, that's kind of like the same avenue as far as I'm concerned. It's like, oh, there's like the risk in, who was that guy, Carradine or whatever his name?
I don't know.
There was some like famous actor. He passed away because he was like trying to get off while he was choking himself.
Autoerotic asphyxiation.
Yeah, autoerotic asphyxiation. That
You should always have a spotter when you're doing that,
yeah,
folks.
yeah, that was David Carradine. He passed away, and I think the whole taboo section, that stuff doesn't really get me going or whatever. But this video game, I think you'd enjoy it. You'd be surprised in the visual fidelity of some of these games.
So are you cranking it out with a muff pocket when you do
Oh
that?
yeah, I always use muff pockets, don't you?
Oh yeah, I've got a whole case of them in my truck. Yeah, ever since I did that ad read for queef cans, they've been sending me all kinds of stuff.
Dude, that's like the I don't know even know what you call that. That's like the double. What's a term where you get like both ends of.
Oh yeah, you win twice, brother.
There you go.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's a good deal. Get paid some money to do a little ad read and
Yep.
get all these sweet muff pockets.
And the queef cans go
And the
on.
queef cans
Yeah.
to boot.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's nice.
awesome.
I got a microwave right in my truck. Throw it in muff pockets right in that patented Mormon sleeve. And yeah, hell yeah. Now 15 seconds in there and you're good to go.
All right.
Usually just throw them right out the window of my truck when I'm done with them.
Oh, do you?
Oh yeah, well, I use them when I'm driving.
Right on the freeway.
Yeah, I ain't got no shame. I've been doing this a while. I can crank one out while I'm driving a big rig.
They're probably biodegradable, right?
I do not know, sir.
All right. So that's it for my video game corner
Oh,
roundup.
well, speaking of games, tell me, what's this Triple X Games things that you guys
yeah.
been putting out? Because I seen them on your YouTube channel, but I ain't heard one in the podcast. So what's that all about?
Yeah. So this is a thing that we're promoting on our channel. It's for this special like Olympic style events where different adult entertainers kind of get together and they compete in different triple X style activities, and then there are either judges there or whatever referees or officials that will either rule or judge on the performance of these individuals. So yeah, triple X Games, check it out on our YouTube channel. Just look for From DC to Mars on YouTube, and you can listen to any of the promos or any of the events that have been coming up. There, we got two announcers that are working on. I think it's Doug and Larry.
Yeah, it's Larry.
Yeah, Larry Labian, I think his name is. Or
That's a silly name.
yeah, I don't remember his name. Larry something, but yeah, definitely check it out. Hopefully there's video in some. Obviously, it wouldn't be on our channel. We don't promote anything that's actually triple X on YouTube, but I'm sure you can find it out there somewhere. Very entertaining. And super
Yeah,
funny.
it was mighty entertaining to me. I had a good laugh at that.
Yeah, I laughed at it too.
Sounded like quite the competition.
Yeah. All right, you got anything else you want to talk about, Larry? Because I'm about wrapped up.
Well, I thought I'd take a minute to kind of just talk about myself. Because
Yeah.
I understand, I call in a few times and I understand people might be a little curious about me.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it.
So I guess some of my backstory is this. I was found by my folks at a gas station or a rest stop, outside Amarillo, Texas.
Okay.
So I was a little orphan boy, and my folks, the ones that picked me up, they was truckers. So my pappy and my mama, they just rode the roads together, and they were both truckers. They take turns driving and whatnot, and I basically grew up in a truck.
Nice.
So, growing up though was a little different, I suppose, than most other kids, because we didn't have a house that we was at very often, and we didn't have no time for schooling for me, so I ain't got much of an education. And yeah, I basically just grew up in my truck with my folks, and that's where we lived, and that's kind of how I still live today. And it's probably why I just like roaming them roads and
Sure.
being out in my big rig. And my folks has passed on now, but I still try to keep the memory alive by driving my truck and
Yeah.
doing God's work, just delivering goods to people.
Oh, that's cool. So that's your backstory?
Yeah, more or less. Ain't nothing too special about it, I suppose, but I figure it's a little bit unusual, so
Yeah.
folks might want to hear about it.
Definitely. Obviously, like I said earlier, we've appreciated it every time you've called in. I hope you continue to do so in the future, because we always found you to be very entertaining. So
Yeah, well, thank you. I enjoy calling you in. I get bored out on that road. And
yeah,
figure, hey, shoot, I'll give these folks a call and
it's
kind
awesome.
of tell them what's going on in Larry's life.
Yeah, it's
I appreciate you putting them calls on the podcast too.
Oh, yeah.
That's really tickles me to death. Just turning on my favorite podcast and hearing my own voice. It just
Yep.
cracks me up.
yeah. The listeners love it too. So obviously, we appreciate it. We love hearing from you, and super glad that you could make it up to do a live recording and live podcast with us. And I'm sure you'll be back with us in the future if you
Yeah,
swing
sure
back
hope so.
through.
Well, yeah. And thanks for having me on here today. And
Definitely.
anytime you want me to come on back, you know how to reach me.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, we'll wrap it up then, unless you have anything else to add.
No, that's it. I just say keep her between the ditches and drive safe out there, folks.
All right. Appreciate it, Larry. We'll see you next time.
All right, bye now.
This was From DC to Mars, the podcast.
Coming this fall to NBS Sports.
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 22nd annual XXX Games. We'd like to welcome you to our broadcast of this special presentation of all of our favorite games in the adult-oriented industry. I'm Larry Labian, and with me I'd like to welcome our special guest, Doug Doubledong.
All right, yeah, thanks a lot, Larry. Sure am excited to be here today. It'd be a total understatement to say otherwise.
Thanks for joining us today, Doug. Which events are you really looking forward to?
Actually, I can't wait to see this deep throating competition. Now, these ladies have a special talent that we can all appreciate and enjoy. Now, I know Misty Slits is our returning champion, but I look forward to seeing a big push from Tina Tonsils and also Soakin' Sally Buster Balls.
Great point, Doug. Let's take a quick look at the upcoming events that we'll be dipping into throughout the day. At 1 o'clock today, we'll be covering the cum shot competition for both distance and volume. We have a couple new competitors, Freddie Fisterhole and Mike Crotches Burning, to take on our reigning champ, Lorenzo Longshot.
Well, let's just say I'm real pumped to watch this one, Larry.
And later on in the day, we have a big competition with Jennifer Jowls taking on our last year's champ, Brittany Burst, in the Female Squirt Show. This is a relatively new event at the XXX Games, and one I definitely have my eye on.
Good point, Larry. Let's just say my entire family and I are rooting for Jennifer this year because she's a good family friend.
Oh, really? That's great to hear. What a story Jennifer has, and we'll see her later in the anal events that occur tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please stick around as we're bound to have some great upsets and amazing performances from all of our participants throughout the day and tonight.